we're going to talk about the summarize command from a basic perspective first, and then we'll do some other work where we'll use the other fields category of the summarize command in order to play with the data a little bit more. Now, summarizing is something where you're able to summarize on, I believe, as many fields as you'd like. And this can be very useful in ACL in order to manage your data more, or maybe even to test the data from a unique point of view. So you can summarize on a lot of different fields. You have to make sure that you pre-sort or sort your data. If you don't, the summarize command will work on that file, and it will actually look probably like your transaction file because nothing will be lined up to be sorted. So, not if we're sorting by date and by month, all of the Januaries will not be lined up, and hence the file will not work properly in the summarize. Now, what the summarize command also allows you to do is to use other fields, which are fields that you can add on, and it's actually the first listing for each particular summarized category. It's a lot easier to see in person than to talk about it through a slide, so we'll show some examples of that as well, but that'll come a little bit later. So taking a look now into ACL, where it's a lot easier to show this than to explain it on a slide, what we can do is we can select Analyze, Summarize, and from there we can summarize first off, just to keep it simple, on vendor number, accumulating the invoice amount, and what I'd like to do is just bring over the vendor name, vendor city, and a little easier, I'm just going to click on other fields. It just makes it a little easier to see everything. Vendor address, actually I'll bring back vendor city by double clicking on it. Bring it over vendor city and vendor state and vendor zip. And we'll show you, why we're doing this. Now, ACL will automatically pre-sort the item, so that makes it a little bit easier. And again, we have this summarize on, that's what it's going to pre-sort on. The other fields will show you, but it's actually going to take the first listing for that particular vendor number, and it's going to apply that to the actual record in these fields. So it's not going to summarize it, it's actually just going to list the first one, and then we're going to accumulate that invoice amount field. Let's hit the OK button, and it's probably telling me I forgot to enter an output file. Always do that, it's on this other tab back here, and what we'll do is we'll just put that to sum. Now, what this did was it not only provides me by vendor number the total invoice amount, but the total count. Now, there are 729 records. If I total the count field, there are 729 records in the summary. And now I have the vendor name, address, etc. information. So this is kind of an easy little way of getting like a summary by vendor, and not only seeing that, but also where are they located on the chart. Now you might be asking, what would happen if for a particular vendor number there were two vendor names for some reason? I don't know why, but for that vendor number there were two different names. And Sky's the Limit Publishing, and then there was another one, 1615041, Sky's the Limit, and that's it. There's no publishing after that. ACL will only pick the first one in that particular case that shows up. That's just how it's been sorted. So it's depending on how it's sorted, it'll just take the first one. So Sky's the Limit Publishing here would only be listed once, even if there were 5 different vendor names for each vendor number. So again, we'll talk more about other fields in a second, but I just wanted to give you a perspective that it is the first record associated with that vendor number. So it summarizes on this, accumulates these two fields, and just pulls over these fields based on that first record.